Welcome back to the channel. It is a new year, and it is also quite cold here in Kentuckistan, but today you're going to get an education on Cold War U.S. military equipment. What I have anyway. For starters, there are some inaccuracies, such as, well, really just one, and that being the pistol belt that I'm using in my Alice gear at the moment, because my other set of Alice gear is currently in Texas still. So, if you're watching, I need my shit back. Let's get into it. First and foremost, the ever so classic BDUs. BDU, based off of the Highland ERDL, or the Brown Dominant ERDL, features a U.S. Army style patrol cap that is in similar style to what we use today. BDU cut, fatigues top, bottom, and the coat that I have underneath it, well, not really a coat, is what is referred to as a smoker's jacket. However, this one specifically is the armored vehicle insert for the tanker jacket. So I got that because it's quite toasty. It is like 20 something degrees outside and I'm pretty warm. The boots are the Vietnam style jungle boots, preferably in black. However, I have seen pictures of them using the green ones in the 80s and into the early 90s. So let's go on and get into the equipment. So for the equipment, you're going to want the Alice gear. As stated, this is an incorrect belt for the 80s. You would see it in the late 90s, however, this is not the late 90s, this is the mid to late 80s into like 91. On this, standard infantry, 2 magazine pouches with 3 30 round M16/M4 magazines. I have 2 canteens, and I have my butt pack. Then obviously, to keep everything up, you have suspenders. These being the Alice suspenders. However, some units were still using the M56 gear into the 80s. You wouldn't see it in the 90s at all, really, outside of maybe specialized units. But we don't have that out here today because you guys have seen it plenty enough. If you're curious, just watch one of the other videos, like the Vietnam videos. Those are pretty cool, and they also feature the M56 gear. Now on to helmets. To start, we have the venerable M1 steel pot in the final stage of its life, utilizing a very similar to the Pasgat design chin strap. The aligner is the same as how it would be in the Vietnam era. This is a ERDL helmet cover. However, really late into its life, you'd also see BDU helmet covers of the same style. Now on to the venerable Pasgat helmet. The Pasgat helmet, or Protective Armor System for Ground Troops, is the United States' military first Kevlar helmet. This helmet is the shape of a certain helmet that is also on the channel, that whenever we went into Grenada, they had to spruce it up with helmet scrim and whatnot to make it not look like that helmet. The Stahlhelm is the helmet. So that was done. I haven't done it with mine because I like the way it looks right now. I do have a set of dust, wind, and sand goggles, or dust, wind, and sun goggles. I have the clear lenses in, so more for dust and sand. BDU helmet cover. I do have a cat-eye band on here as well. And again, chin strap similar to the steel pot chin strap, just a little different. Now onto the weaponry. Most standard troops during the 80s into the 90s received the M16A2. However, the buttstock on this M16 is incorrect. However, the rest of it is good to go. There is a fixed carry handle sight, the A2 carry handle sight, A2 front sight, and a cylindrical handguard. However, many units were still receiving the M16A1. The M16A1, in this case just M16, was another common service rifle used by the United States military in the 80s. This one being the JG, and the M16A2 being the SEMA. Now, this specific model for airsoft has a tendency to not feed properly with 30 round magazines, so if you do purchase this, keep that in mind. However, it does go with the early 80s aesthetic, especially if the unit you're trying to portray utilizes the M16A1. However, if you're going to do that, I would replace the flash hider. I use this for Vietnam airsoft as well, so I'm going to keep the flash hider. Depending upon your unit, you may also receive a CAR-15. This is an M4A1 as a stand-in, however, it does get the point across. The CAR-15 is just a carbine version of the M16, just like the M4 is. Most of the time, these would go to airborne units such as Rangers, or even just regular airborne units. If you've ever watched Black Hawk Down, there are lots of soldiers in that movie utilizing the CAR-15, including your special teams as well. However, some units were still using really weird oddball guns, especially up into the 90s, and we're going to get into that specific one right now. As the saying goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The M3 grease gun, likely the A1 and not this specific version, was still used up into the 90s, at least up until 1992. In fact, there's an old tanker I was talking about machine guns with, and he said in Desert Storm he was issued one of these. He even said it was the one with the carry handle. Or not carry handle, sorry, charging handle. This one being the ICS M3 grease gun with actual magazines, and it's not a battery. However, now we're going to get into some different uniforms. First and foremost, the uniform I don't have that will also be good for this period that we're discussing is the OG 107, solid green fatigue uniform, similar to how we went into Vietnam with in the mid 60s. Today we have the green M65 coat. This is a Marine Corps one, but for airsoft, definitely still works. And then we have the M65 field pants that are often referred to, at least in my friends and groups, referred to as paratrooper pants. These have regular button closures, not the buttons that you're familiar with like with the BDUs. These are just snap buttons, pretty good pants, and they also have tie downs to make sure it's not too bunchy up against your legs. Now we're going to get into the desert night camouflage. Though I'm not wearing a desert camouflage pattern, this is still a pretty neat thing to put on, and I am in fact wearing BDUs underneath it, both the fatigue top and the pants. This was used in, well, deserts obviously. It was designed in the 70s to defeat Soviet night vision. However, when it got fielded in the 90s, Soviet night vision had actually gotten so good, in fact, that this now made you pop out like a light under nods today. Well, that is my Cold War equipment we're going to be going over today. I'll see you guys in the next time.